Hello from ABA Midyear Meeting 2018 in Vancouver, Canada. I'm Laurence Colletti,
I'm Bob Carlson.
and we're on the road with Legal Talk Network. And we're back. Thank you so much for joining us on the road. It's a pleasure to be here in Vancouver. It's drizzly, it's gray, but the hospitality is very warm. And today it's my pleasure to welcome to the microphone Mr. Bob Carlson, who, of course, is the President-Elect of the American Bar Association. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Excellent. The weather's a little gray, but, I got to tell you, it was beautiful coming in. I got to see all of the port side stuff on the approach, so that was really interesting. How was your ride in?
It was fine. It was great. No snow on the ground, which is, since I'm from Montana, at this time of the year, there's always a lot of snow. The weather might be a little cool and drizzly, but the people here have been very warm and very friendly, so we're happy to be here.
Yeah, it's been pretty terrific so far. But anyway, well, thank you for joining us for an interview. This is our first time that we're getting to meet you on Legal Talk Network. And of course, we do travel with the American Bar Association quite a bit. But anyway, I just wanted to, before we get started, asking a couple series of questions here. Just wanted to, for our listeners, for their benefit, where do you work? What do you do?
Well, I'm a lawyer, obviously, in Butte, Montana, which is a town of about 34,000 people in the southwest corner of Montana. And I have a small firm, about 5.5 lawyers, 5 full-time, 1 of counsel, and I do mostly products liability and insurance coverage defense work.
Well, and for those that live on the coast, Butte, Montana is on I-90. It's between, I think, Bozeman and Missoula, right?
That's right. It's actually on the confluence of I-90 and I-15.
Okay.
So, and for a trivia bit for our listeners, it's the headwaters of the Columbia River system.
Excellent. For the pregame, I was talking with Matt Cemento of the American Bar Association. He's giving me some information about you in preparation. And one of the things that we highlighted was, obviously President Hillary Bass of the American Bar Association comes from a very large firm, and you come from a smaller firm. And so most of the attorneys out there that are in practice are solos or working for small firms. And so I just wanted to, open up with that, seeing early on, and I know it's early for you coming on as president-elect, and you're traveling. This is kind of the full schedule. You're kind of aware of what's coming when you take the reins as president of the American Bar Association. But just early observations from that smaller firm perspective. What issues are you seeing? What problems are you looking to solve?
From a small firm perspective, the biggest thing is to convince people what we all know that are in leadership of the American Bar Association. That is how important the ABA is to the practicing lawyer. And certainly in a firm my size, the value benefit is the products that the ABA delivers to help them be better lawyers and to serve their clients better. So right now, issues of technology are critical to competing with the bigger firms. And most of the lawyers in Montana and in the Rocky Mountain West states are from firms like mine, the solo up to 10 lawyers. And so they need all the help they can get. They don't have the time or the resources to look for all the technology that you need. So the American Bar Association, through a program called Blueprint, has provided, has done the vetting, has looked up, gone through all the technology that's available and said this, if you're going to have a virtual law office, or if you're going to have a virtual receptionist, or if you're going to attract clients, this is the technology that you need. And on top of that, in most states now, including Montana, the rules of professional conduct require you to be up to date on technology. It's a violation of the rules if you're not. And so we're trying to help those lawyers meet those guidelines and be able to serve their clients more efficiently, more cost-effectively, and hopefully through that process will expand the access to justice and the people they can serve in states like mine.
Oh, excellent, excellent. So yeah, definitely, seeing that over our travels, there's been a large push for technological solutions to make these law firms much more efficient, and also, you can do obviously with the efficiency, you can do a whole lot more with less. But I think it makes the work life easier for these attorneys, allowing them to compete with larger firms as well. So it's nice to get into your specialty that way.
The real benefit is they don't have time to figure out what is the right technology for what they need. And that's the Blueprint program is designed to do that. And plus, once we pick the programs, we work out affinity deals with the providers and the creators of the software to get discounts, deep discounts that frankly more than pay for the cost of ABA membership for solo and small firms.
So what kind of, in addition to what's being offered already with Blueprint, what are some of the other functions, features, services that you're hoping to add?
Well, this year we've got a working group that is continuing to develop more substantive, content-based information for lawyers to assist in their practice. So not just technology, but also how do you take a deposition? What expert witnesses do you need in a certain type of case? And so we've combined resources with a few of our working groups, the ABA Sectional Litigation, Young Lawyers, GP Solo, General Practice and Solos, and the Law Practice Group to assist in getting all the great content that the ABA has, try to put it in a user-friendly place so they can go to the website, click on Blueprint, and here's this list of menu options that assist them in figuring out how to best serve their client. So it's both the technology and the substance-based content that we hope to get rolled out over the course of the next year and a half.
Personal questions. So, Mr. Carlson, obviously we're just now getting to know you, but I was told that one of the people that was influential in your decisions to volunteer, and that's what it is, it's volunteer work for the American Bar Association, was Mr. Bill Robinson. And of course, he has recently passed away, and so I just wanted to ask, in lines with that, what did he mean to you, and how did he influence your decision to volunteer all these years?
That's an interesting question because I had been involved in the as an officer of the State Bar of Montana and met Bill at a regional bar conference, the Western States Bar Conference, in about 1990-91. And over the course of time, he kept weaving in and out of my life. He was doing everything, but not only at the state of Kentucky where he's from, but also the ABA. And in 2001, I was elected to the ABA Board of Governors. And Bill was in the class ahead of us. And so his wife took my wife under her wing, and we become friends from that relationship. And, I can't give him all the credit, but he gets a lot of the credit for sort of pushing me along the way. And his wife gets a lot of credit for what she did. And obviously my wife, Cindy, gets a lot of credit for what she's been willing to put up with, frankly, in these travels around the country and literally around the world. Bill was such an enthusiastic supporter of the American Bar Association. He would strike up conversations with anybody and brag about how much good work we do. Such an infectious personality. When they started talking about maybe I should do something more, he basically recruited a few other legendary people in the ABA like Dennis Archer and Robert Gray, who were the first and second African-American presidents of the association. And with their help, it just became, well, okay, we need to honor your work. We need to do something to move this forward. And it is time for us to have a lawyer from a more rural state in a smaller practice. Because even though I know that you care about Bill Robinson or Dennis Archer or Hillary Bass and Lynn Klein, all care about the lawyers in the smaller firms. They don't always get that. The lawyers don't always get how much we care about them. So having somebody from a small firm that speaks literally their language, I thought it was about time we did something like that. And so far it's been great.
So volunteer work, and this is one of the topics that I like to touch back on when we travel. It's amazing to me, the American Bar Association. I mean, in addition to the wonderful staff that we get to talk to on a regular basis, the work done by the American Bar Association is done a lot by volunteers, and you're one of those volunteers. And this is the question I did ask to current President Hillary Bass early, right as she was taking the reins of the presidency. I asked her, how does this work for you? mean, this is the travel commitments and all of the speeches that have to be made and all the events that you have to go to. You're being pulled away from your practice, and she works for a very big Greenberg Traurig, very big and supportive firm. And stand behind her and support her. You're coming from a much smaller firm in Butte, Montana. How is that working for you? Your partners and they're looking at you and they're like, Mr. Carlson, how does that work?
Well, so far it's worked all right. As president-elect, I've been able to continue to practice somewhat, although not as much as I would normally do. And we've been spreading work around to the other lawyers. In my case, it was not like it just happened overnight. This has been a long process. I've been talking with my partners literally for 10 years about this. And although they always said, oh, sure, yeah, whatever, this will never happen in their minds, a few years ago it dawned on them that this actually was going to happen. They've come to grips with it. They've been very supportive. We're going to make it work, but we're going to make it work really in the way you do things in Montana. You just do it. And if I have to do certain things during the course of the year, the one thing I've done my entire career is spend it on a plane, a train, or in an automobile. And technology really helps me serve the needs of my clients while on the road. And we're going to do whatever it takes. They support me at my firm. I'll support them. This is important. I mean, you can do this. And the message that we'd like to deliver is hopefully there will be more people, more lawyers who will volunteer from firms like mine from around the country, whether it's Maine or New Mexico or Utah or Wyoming, that have this background. Because the ABA does, I've known this forever, since 1979. It speaks for the American lawyer, every lawyer. It doesn't matter if you're a member or not. We speak for you. Now, we'd like to have all of you be members out there, but we speak for you on issues of access to justice, on issues of law school accreditation, on issues of legal ethics and rules of professional conduct. We impact your lives on a daily basis. And I'm so, privileged to be in this position to succeed and take up the reins after Hillary is finished. Hillary's a good friend of mine. We've known each other for a while. We've worked together. We work well together. We sort of view this as it's not a marathon and it's not a sprint. It's a relay race. And we want to have this continuum of leadership that speaks to lawyers and gets the message out about how important an independent judiciary is. And it's an honor. I'm still pinching myself. It's hard to believe I'm doing this.
Well, Mr. Carlson, I just have one last question for you. If our listeners, they want to reach out, learn a little bit more about you, maybe get a sneak preview into your Big Sky presidency of the American Bar Association, how can they find you?
Well, the easiest way is at ABA Pres_elect.
Excellent. Well, we've reached the end of the road for today's episode, but I want to thank our guest, Bob Carlson, for joining us today, and also for our listeners for tuning in. And if you like what you heard today, please rate us an Apple Podcast. See you next time for another episode of On the Road, Legal Talk Network.
If you'd like more information about what you've heard today, please visit LegalTalkNetwork.com. Subscribe via iTunes and RSS. Find us on Twitter and Facebook, or download our free Legal Talk Network app in Google Play and iTunes. The views expressed by the participants of this program are their own and do not represent the views of, nor are they endorsed by, Legal Talk Network, its officers, directors, employees, agents, representatives, shareholders, and subsidiaries. None of the content should be considered legal advice. As always, consult a lawyer.